first speaker is Akshay Singh. Akshay is a barista at Starbucks and is part of their organizing committee at the store with Starbucks Workers United. Along with 4 other stores in Cleveland and several others in Ohio, workers at Shay's location filed for a union election with the National Labor Relations Board. Despite months of waiting on the NLRB and union busting from corporate headquarters, West 6th recently voted unanimously for a union. Prior to working in the service industry, Shay coached soccer in Cleveland and worked with transit riders and workers in Cleveland and around Ohio to improve public transportation. Akshay.
Hey, thank you, Steve. And thank you, Deb, for inviting me. It's great to be here. I got off my shift about an hour ago, so I'm going to try and keep it quick and make sure we get to hear from all our great folks. I am here with Starbucks Workers United. You may have seen our logo that was made for our Cleveland-wide cruise by a crew out of Dayton called Public Ruckus. They're wonderful, and we're so thankful for their bringing Cleveland, our own Starbucks Workers United. I think I saw Mark Milko on. Mark, it's great to see you. A part of Workers United staff, and we're so thankful for the support from the union. But it's been amazing to see that this has been something that's been fomented by workers on the floor from shop to shop, and now we're talking about over 86 Starbucks locations nationwide that have been unionized. And we are talking about hundreds more that have filed for election that are like our stores that are facing pretty blatant union busting from corporate. You might have heard our CEO discuss how we're assaulting the company by demanding a fair schedule, by demanding pay that's commensurate with the kind of revenues that we're making. I just saw that our store made $46,000 last week in revenues on the board, but I can tell you we can make at peak far more money than anybody's going to get paid, and that's how much they were paying their union buster lawyers, $500 to $600 an hour at Littler, if you're familiar with that firm. Big presence here in Cleveland. So we've seen a lot of delays, unfortunately, with the NLRB district office here in Cleveland. West 6 was waiting for their election. They filed in January. They voted in May. So you're talking about 4 months of open season on workers, talking about forcing people out, like many of my coworkers have been already. We're about a third of our staff size since we filed. But I think a lot of the issues are whether it's even little things. You say you like working a shift, you like opening where you come in at 4:30, you get the shop ready, and then a littler middle, sorry, I'll look it up and share it in the link. But it's all to say that we have gone through this with a lot of solidarity across the Cleveland stores, and I'm really so proud to say that, as well as just so much support. I want to really shout out to the folks at the Democratic Socialists of America chapter here in Cleveland, who've helped put in hundreds of dollars to our GoFundMe. I'll drop that link as well. That GoFundMe is to support union workers facing hours cut or unfair labor practices at the job, and to make sure that we're whole all the way through our union elections, and even while we're beginning to negotiate a contract where that's applicable. So we just want to say thank you again for the platform, for the support, for the notes, for when you can come in and order a Union Yes drink, or if it's Union Steve or Union Deb, that really is something that we can love to holler out to you and let you know your drink's ready. And it was a joy to make it, because I'll tell you, I've worked in University Circle now for 8 months, coming up on 8 months, and it's a community that I've been a part of for over 20 years now. But it's something else to be able to interact with our community members and customers just like on on a regular day-to-day basis and really get to serve our community. And we're proud of that. So also, thanks to the folks like Chris Renane who've come out as soon as we've asked and said, hey, we'll show up and we'll buy a Union Strong drink. Nina Turner did that at our shop. So we're really thankful for folks who've come out, and we want to make sure we're encouraging all elected officials. I remember Rebecca Maurer at West 6 was like, yes, I'm there. And came out and was like one of the first Union Strong drinks, as well as Mayor Bibb. So we've had a lot of great support from folks, and we want to make sure that continues because this corporation is and frankly, CEO Howard Schultz represent a lot of the unfairness that we're fighting in our society right now, not just at this company, but we're talking about billionaires who are unwilling to let workers get just the most basic seat at the table. So I'm going to cut it there. I've spoken for a while. I think folks have heard a lot. I do want to say that one of the last things, if you haven't seen, there's a video of when Bernie's in Virginia and talking to Starbucks workers, and to hear the kind of stories that come out of workers, and what they're putting in on the job. One of those workers in Virginia was in chemo actively, was chemo sick, and had to be at work to be able to access the healthcare that they were earning from the job. So, when we talk about what healthcare benefits and all of this, it's great to offer benefits, but if you can't access them, if you don't have the time to get away from work, or because you can't afford to have the time away from work, those benefits aren't real. And I think that's something that we're hearing from Starbucks workers across the country. And that's why this is happening from the floor up. And thank you so much for the time and the opportunity to share and to say, in these dark times, it's the solidarity that we have in our labor community that I feel very especially, and in a lot of our organizing communities, that's going to get us through this, and to keep inviting others in. And there's a lot of new folks ready to get into it, I'll tell you that. So solidarity, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Akshay. Solidarity. Is Josh Sturman. Josh is a founding member of Hudson Workers United, the union drive at Hudson Legal HIPR. He continues to serve on the organizing committee despite being illegally fired for his union activities. In the past, he has organized with the Fight for 15 and other grassroots labor, anti-war, anti-racist, anti-fascist, feminist, and environmentalist organization. Josh lives in Appalachia with his wife and his dog.
Can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
Hi, thank you for having me. So yesterday, just before I got off work, I checked my phone and I saw a text from my coworker. It was a screenshot of my company's LinkedIn profile where the About Company section now read, quote, "It has come to our attention that Joshua Sturman has been fraudulently presenting himself as an employee of Hudson. Please note, Joshua is not our employee. He is an organizer with Hudson Workers United and a criminal under investigation for massive defamation lawsuits, misrepresentation damages, and theft of company assets." Obviously, other than me being an organizer, all of this is untrue. I have never been notified of any defamation claims pending against me. The theft of company assets referred to is, in reality, my legal obligation to retain documents related to my employment in the face of numerous government investigations and likely lawsuits. And while I am technically no longer employed by Hudson, this is because I was illegally terminated for organizing, a matter that has been in front of the NLRB, Department of Labor, and Equal Opportunities Commission for some months now, and which will almost certainly end with my reinstatement. That said, absurd as my company's new LinkedIn page is, it is par for the course at this point. Over the 2+ years that my coworkers and I have been organizing at Hudson, HIPR, and other entities related to the North America Immigration Law Group, illegal retaliation has become the norm. My coworkers and I have had our disability accommodations removed, our speech restricted, our pay effectively cut, and of course have been terminated, all in retaliation for our union activism, our decision to exercise our collective right to organize. Regrettably, the government has been less than effective at addressing our boss's blatantly illegal actions. The NLRB, DOL, and EOC have all been investigating baldface abuses for months, with little remedy forthcoming. The company has seized on this slow pace to systematically outsource our jobs to precarious contractors at shell companies and to offshore them to unorganized workers in Canada, New Zealand, and Thailand. Nevertheless, we are persevering. We are a strong union. At our initial vote count, where management used absurd bureaucratic maneuvers to challenge 2/3 of the votes, every single ballot opened was in favor of the union. We have staged protests across the country with dozens of workers and community allies, including Jobs with Justice staff, coming out to protest the company's illegal and immoral behaviors. Over the next several months, we are planning additional actions to keep increasing pressure on the company and are excited to share our plans with our supporters at the appropriate times. Our fight is one for the dignity of labor and the material necessities of life. Presently, we're treated as cogs in a machine, the only beneficiaries of which are Victoria Chen and Winston Shea, the company's owners. Our pay is below the living wage in many cities that the company maintains offices. In fact, it is hardly competitive with McDonald's criminally low wages in Pittsburgh, where I live. Our benefits are slim to non-existent. When I worked at the company, my PCP was an hour drive away from my house, the only doctor in the region that was accepting both new patients and my insurance. When I got shoulder surgery, I had to borrow money from my grandmother because my deductible was far higher than I could afford on my Hudson wages. And management treats us as utterly disposable, so much so that white-collar sweatshop was a term frequently used to describe our employment long before the union began organizing. Through the union, however, we have asserted our voice at the company. It is a voice that will be heard, even if this takes time. And once it is heard, it will be stating demands very clearly. Demands for an end to the abuse, poor pay, and insecurity described above. Demands to be treated with respect on the job, as full human beings who have hopes and desires beyond lining a greedy lawyer's pockets. Demands to be given our fair share of the pie. My coworkers and I are confident that we will win first union recognition and then a fair contract. We have the dedication, intelligence, training, and tactics to see this fight through. Nevertheless, we are always appreciative of any help we can get and hope that each one of you here tonight could consider spreading the word about the abuses at North America Immigration Law Group's network of companies. If you know a lawyer, an immigrant, an academic, a freelance writer, or even a recent college grad, let them know that Hudson, HIPR, Talentopia, Paxton, and NAM ILG are not companies you want to be mixed up in. Let them know about the abuses that have been perpetuated against workers purely to keep intact the fiefdom of one of America's most egotistical married couples. And let them know that they can help by signing petitions, making calls, spreading our website, and generally expressing solidarity. With your help, we can bring our struggle to a quick close and obtain the victories we've been fighting for. Thank you for letting me speak.
Cleveland Ward 13 Councilman Chris Harsh, and I'm hopeful we didn't overlook any other elected officials. Thanks for coming tonight, Chris. All right, next up, a little music break, and I want to introduce Todd Smith. Todd has sung and written songs for rallies, demonstrations, picket lines, and other necessary trouble for many, many years. He was a lawyer representing labor unions in Ohio for 24 years and is currently the vice president of the Cleveland Federation of Musicians.
Okay, am I on now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's wonderful to be here. The Jobs of Justice. And I wish that the work from Starbucks was here. Union strong, that's how we make our coffee. Union strong, that's how we brew. Union strong, we're workers united for a better life for me and you. Not union strong, we're organizing. Union strong, we're breaking through. Union strong, we're working together to make changes so long overdue. When the union's inspiration through the workers' blood should run, there's a no better anywhere beneath the sun. Union strong, that's how we make our coffee. Union strong, that's how we brew. Union strong, we're workers united for a better life for me and you. For a better life for me and you. Okay. You know, I wrote 2 Starbucks songs, and I was gonna not do them together, but maybe I will. What the hell? Same message, different music. I do like our coffee union song. It tastes so good when it's union strong, so strong. It's so strong. You know, we love the way they brew it when they do it. Union strong. Starbucks baristas, and strong, sticking together all day long. Workers united, from a long day. Got power when they all belong. They make them strong. Oh, so strong. Cause they realize when they organize, they're strong. Time that partners, worrying partners, and it's time our work was recognized. But Starbucks wouldn't listen to us till we got wise and organized, oh yeah. So we'll cross these countryways and strong, our numbers are growing all year long. Step by step, we're going strong as more baristas are signing up. We're strong, oh so strong. We're here, we're there, we're everywhere, so strong. Yes, we're here, we're there, we're everywhere, so strong.
Thank you, Todd. Our final speaker is Patty Kane, who is a registered nurse working with the Ohio Nurses Association to organize a union at Windsor, Laurelwood.
Hi. So I guess I should just start with what I did at the meeting. The path to union. I was 2 classes away from a fine art photography degree, graduated with a biomedical photography degree, got out of college, and I could not support myself. So as many people do, as many of my coworkers have, became a nurse. And it wasn't necessarily at all my first love or my passion or even what I really wanted. So for the first 5 years, sort of bounced around different jobs. And, you know, I thought nursing was bad then. It really wasn't. It was pretty miserable in 2003 till 7-ish. But I got a job at I was desperate to get out of the worst of my jobs. And HR made a mistake, sent my application to pediatric psychiatry. And I thought that was going to be like the worst place in the world. And I interviewed and took it anyways and wound up loving my job. And I realized we needed a nurse because 11 years later, after I really invested a tremendous amount in what was a wonderful unit, when they allowed us to teach about nonviolent crisis intervention and the impact of race and class and access to healthcare, to mental health care, children in the foster system. Like we did great work. And then we got a new manager, and she made some transphobic and frankly racist comments. And I attempted to address this with this new manager. And in the process of doing that, I wound up getting targeted and fired. And I was really heartbroken about that. That was the joke on the unit was I would have left that unit with my master's degree or on a stretcher. Like I was in it. And so I had to leave, find a new job, a new pediatric psychiatry unit. And I went there and realized that at my new job, we were even more vulnerable than at my old job, which was incredibly vulnerable. At my new job now that I'm in, well, I've been there 2 years. I saw another coworker get targeted and fired. And he was discriminated against because he's Black and gay, and that was just it. Like there was nothing else that you can explain about that. And we also have a problem at our hospital. We've been serving, and I've been documenting this so I can submit it to OSHA, but serving children, they bring up spoiled milk. We run out of things like tampons and pads, combs, and soap. And some of us have had to go out and get a glucometer. When we have diabetics, there's a period of about a month we didn't have a way to test their blood glucose, which is deadly. And so I tried to move around then off of the kids unit, kind of get a pulse for what was going on with the adults, and it was pretty bad everywhere. And I was really lucky to, my old friend of my husband works for the AFL-CIO in DC. Christian Sweeney was remarkable when I called him and told him about what was happening. And within 48 hours of talking to him, I was talking to Lisa Lafferty with the AFT, and she got us rolling. And that's been about 1.5 years. I was at that job for maybe 5 months before it was just like, it's time to unionize. It was clear that was the only thing to do. Since then, we've been working at it and hacking at, it was very slow go. We have a lot of single parents. We have a lot of people in, economically precarious situations. There are nurses. It's, people think that it's, it's a good paying job. But the bottom line is it's rough. It's a rough way to make a buck, and especially for a single parent. So there's a lot of vulnerable people who are very, very, very scared to talk about it, to discuss it. And eventually, when we got the chance to sign cards, we got 75% of what we wanted to be our bargaining unit. After that, the UHS, the parent corporation, it's a private for-profit hospital. They contested our bargaining unit and wanted to make all of basically our nurses' aides fold into the bargaining unit with the nurses. And we had an aim to organize us separately, but both under the ONA. We have very different interests. And so we wanted to be able to, eventually with our contract, be able to make it easier for us to bargain for our own interests and work in tandem. But they contested that. So we're waiting for the NLRB to allow us to have a vote. And in the meantime, they said, we'll make it better. We'll make it better. And in the words of a brilliant coworker, she said, I got out of a abusive relationship with my husband. I've heard all this shit before. And so, naturally we'll make it better. They get a new CEO, and now we're now we're admitting to it's a non-forensic facility. We don't have security guards. we're admitting people who have been convicted of murder. Right now, we have a person convicted of murder and came in after there's a charge pending for attempted vehicular homicide. I've gotten a couple concussions, bruised ribs, and we're not allowed to leave the floor. We're not allowed to leave the unit when these things happen. I had a needle stick from a patient who I had a COVID unit, 10 acute crisis stabilization adults, all COVID positive, and 3 detoxers. And if you know anything, I had 1 detoxing from alcohol. If you're familiar with that process, it's potentially deadly. They had a history of detoxing seizures. So it was a very, very acute floor. And I got a needle stick from a patient who engaged in some very high risk behaviors for bloodborne pathogens. And so I should have immediately been sent to the emergency room. I was not permitted to leave. And that was also during the time we did not have soap and we did not have hospital socks for our patients. You know, anything that's happened to me, it's happened to somebody else. I mean, except for the needle stick part, that was kind of unique. So that's what's been going on. That's our CEO now. The new one's worse than the last. And the general feeling is they're trying to punish us for organizing. All the while they are, you know, promising us it'll get better. And in the captive audience meetings, the attorney who was running one, several, they were making fun of me. And, you know, they didn't know me. They were just saying things like I'm a bully and what was it, incompetent. And there was a much younger nurse who had oriented. And in the middle, when she said I was a bully, this Faith piped up and said, "That's my work, Mom. Don't say that." So it was kind of inspiring, actually. It was lovely. But that's where we are right now. We're still serving spoiled milk, and sometimes the food is sour. And I've ordered pizza out for the kids because I usually work with kids who are about 5 to 14 years old. So I'm still ordering pizza for dinner when something comes up and it doesn't look right. It's hard to believe that's happening in a hospital now, but it is. That's where we are.
Thank you, Patty.